This is the North End. This is the North End.
What's up, people? It is me, Paul Forrest from the North End. We are here to talk about football, Premier League, men's testicle shaving habits, all kinds of subjects today, everybody. Joining me today is my good friend Luke from somewhere in Alabama, and then somewhere equally moist in the air is Dave Convery.
Hello, fellas.
Is he moist?
He
does look moist. You know, as much as Convery can always piss you off and cannot deliver when he's meant to, I take one look at his face.
Hold on. Did you just say that I don't deliver when I'm meant to?
Yeah,
I think you're worse than I am. And
Look in the fucking mirror, mate. I can admit my delivery rates, they're low, but get off your high horse.
It's kicking off very early on this show, and I like it. I'm there for it. Maybe we just spend the next hour having you guys hash it out.
Was it a little bit squeaky there? Was he too close to the mic? That's not me having a go. I'm just generally from an audio perspective. Paul, did you hear that? It was like a little...
Dave Convery, why don't you tell us a story that involves you not turning your mic off?
No, I like this. I like this new Connie.
What's going on? What the hell is going on?
I don't know what's going on.
Could be.
Apparently there was a squeak, and then I think maybe as a laugh he muted your mic.
Oh, okay. Luke, are you in Alabama full time now? Is this oh shit! So you're living down there for moving forward for the foreseeable future.
And I'm doing totally okay about it.
Have you settled in?
2 hours away from New Orleans, not too shabby.
No,
You're
I'm
not settled.
going to try and come back for the Aston Villa Toronto meetup. If anyone is bored and you're a Villa fan or you just like getting pissed drunk, the 19th to the 23rd, and Villa have had 2 games moved. So I think there's either now, in that short space of time, there is now 2 or potentially 3 Villa games. So it's going to be a very, very enjoyable time with a lot of, I think it's about 130 people.
Are you going to be upset when you walk into the wheat sheaf and you're like expecting everybody to be like, Luke? And they're all like, who's this guy?
Who the fuck is that guy? No, because Brett had a baby. So everyone will be like, look, there's a baby. And as cute as I can be.
Are you going to be jealous? Because usually Brett walked in with you in his arms. Little baby.
Well, I think it'd be more you two being jealous. The baby has got all that hair compared to you two. It's like, wow.
I would be jealous. I will, and would be jealous of that.
Brett, if you're listening, congratulations, beautiful baby girl.
Congrats, Brett.
Tragic, born into Aston Villa support, but otherwise beautiful baby girl.
Tragic.
So let's talk about football because it's a thing. It's the purpose. It's our reason for being. It's Premier League football. It was a wild weekend of lots of games. And
can we talk about Dave Convery first?
You want to talk a little bit Dave Convery?
Yeah, I do. I think when was the last time he was on a pod? Dave, have I just missed it for a while? Or
no, it's been quite a while. So I'm excited to be here. I was away this past weekend. I caught up on a lot of the highlights, but as much as I'm here to contribute, I'm more to hear about the weekend from you guys as well, and I'm very excited to talk about this upcoming weekend as well. So yeah, I'm excited.
It's just great to have you back.
That's him basically saying he's a passenger here, folks. Don't ask him too many questions.
100%.
He slinks slowly lower into his camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do what I can.
Well, for the benefit of everybody listening and for Dave, apparently, Liverpool beat Watford 2-0. Their 10th Premier League win in a row. Jota scores, extending his record, and this is crazy, to 32 games unbeaten when he scores a goal. Basically, since he was playing for Wolves, if he scores a goal, he has not lost a Premier League game ever.
That's crazy.
Fucking madness. Whoa. A fairly expected win, but a critical win in the buildup of what's going to happen this weekend, and we will get to that. But I mean, honestly, it's hard to make Liverpool beating Watford that interesting. It's Expected. At this point,
Expected,
folks.
yeah.
It's expected.
Do you know what I
maybe
find? I
also
think it's
expected.
really
Brighton
Oh.
draw
Would you
any
say
game, period, end sentence. But against Norwich, maybe it's a little unexpected. Neil Mopwe misses a penalty, and that's the real narrative to this game. They are now winless. Brighton are now winless in 7 straight games. Although this draw for Norwich does end a 6-game losing streak for Brighton. So they haven't won in 7 games, but this draw ended a 6-game losing streak. I don't think I noticed that Brighton got this bad. At some point this season, they just started.
It's not bad though. It's not bad. It's just they can't score. And I know you can say, "Oh, well, that's bad," but if you watch them, and Paul, you literally talk about Brighton all the time. Like they are playing.
I mean, I
decent
did,
football
but
still.
I stopped when they started losing 6 straight. I just didn't notice that they were losing that much.
No, we've been talking about their dip in form, and we've always said for almost a year now they can't score. But they were scoring for a period of time there. Mopé was scoring. People were chipping in, and we even said on this pod, we said, okay, they're finally getting the goals. They've been playing very poorly. This is the Brighton that you would expect given who they are, their stature. And it does make me wonder this. I thought Brighton were on the way up. I was like, are Brighton going to be this top 8, top 7 team if they keep going? I'm starting to think there might be some players in that squad who are like, Brighton ain't what I thought it was. We might be out in the summer. I might want better things for myself, right? So, I mean,
some big
Brighton
names
are
out of contract there as well.
Exactly. So Brighton will be there, but this has been, you have to say, it's been a very disappointing second half of the season for them, given the way they started the season and how promising it looked.
I'm going to point out that Basuma since the AFCON.
Oh, yeah.
Not the same player. Just saying it. I could point it out there.
But Paul, I wonder if there's legal stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. We don't want to get into that.
I don't know about that.
Right? So
speculation is troubling in these matters.
Dangerous.
Burnley fall to Manchester City in a game that cannot be surprising to anybody. Kevin De Bruyne scores within the first 5 minutes, and Man City do not look back, nor should they. They're just so good. I hate it. At this point, though, Burnley are 4 points from safety, and they are probably wringing their hands for what happened earlier today against Everton. We will talk about that one. Here's a game for everybody, and I like this one. This is like the Premier League at its best. It's not because I have anti-Chelsea vibes or anything, but Brentford shock Chelsea 4-1 is the best endorsement for a Premier League score you can expect. First of all, Brentford surprised Chelsea by going with a 3-5-2 formation for, I believe, the first time all season. They took the lead, Chelsea did, and then in a span of 10 minutes, Brentford scored 3 goals. Christian Eriksen scores his first goal against a team he must hate because he's Spurs to the bone. His first goal since December of 2019. What a great story. What a great return for him. Christian Eriksen. Do you think he's so hot would fit Aston Villa or Man United or anybody? Like, he's not going to be at Brentford next year. Like, he's I don't want to say he single-handedly beat Chelsea. I don't want to say that. But, like, they don't beat Chelsea without him.
I'd have to see more of him. Let's be fair. Like, despite all this stuff with his heart in the World Cup in Switzerland, when he went to Inter Milan, he did a nosedive in form. I've never understood why he pushed for a move away from Spurs. I know if we all remember the Amazon Prime, they had a contract, a lucrative contract on the table for him, but he wanted out. Now he's back in the Premier League at Brentford. I need to see a run of form. We all know what he's capable of at his best. Would he be, if he gets back to his best, would he be great for Aston Villa? Would he be great for like a Manchester? I think he'd be great for a lot of teams. Can he do it consistently, or is this just like him riding a high right now? I don't know, Luke. What do you think?
I think we're slowly watching that run of form, though. I mean, it's not first game back.
I think your name's not Luke. Shut the hell up.
But no, it's a good point. It's a good point. But like, Luke, is that enough of a sample size for you?
Oh, we lost Luke. No, I'm just joking. I found him. He was in the corner holding some lady's hand.
Where would you be at on Eriksen, Luke, for Villa?
Oh, it is a really difficult one, isn't it? Because it's such a great story. And he is playing well, and you know, just from watching that game, he controls that midfield so well, and it's just so natural to him. And you sit and you go, well, what are Villa missing? It's like, God, we definitely are missing that player. I think I'm kind of erring on caution like yourself as well, Connie. There's just something that I'm still like, if he can do that now for, the rest of the year, absolutely. And he's going to be available on a free transfer. So yeah, it's not a bad shout, but is he what Villa need right now? I don't think out and out, but I wouldn't be upset if we got him. Let's just put it that way.
It's a bit of an audition. So then maybe, Paul, I'll put it to you. Where do you see his level at? Do you see him as like a top half player? Do you see him, I don't know, like could he get back into like the Spurs? He's a bit of a luxury player.
He's a guy that you would want in your squad. I think if you were a top 6 team, you would definitely want to have somebody like him to be able to bring in. I don't know if you want to rely on him if you're like a Leicester or something, to like week to week kind of thing. Like if they're looking to replace Tielemans as an example, like on paper he might be good, but that might actually be a little bit too much football. It might still be. I mean, he's heart issue aside, he is a veteran player, and the Premier League is not kind to Premier League legs. But I mean, if he went to Spain or Italy, he didn't set the world on fire when he played for Inter Milan, but that was a very good Inter Milan team.
Yeah.
And he did play for them. He did have a role with them. And Conte had them kind of always running, which is not necessarily kind to his style of play. But yeah, I think there's so many teams that should be signing him up because, again, he's free and I would take him at United. I would definitely, like, Paul Pogba goes, we bring him in. Like, Wamada goes, we bring him in. He's a plus up to the team for sure.
But I think you say it as a luxury player. I'm very interested to see how he finishes the season, if he can continue this run of form. More than anything else, I just like to see him continue to play football, given everything he's been through. Seems like a nice guy. We know the quality he's got. I hope he finishes strong. What I'd like to ask you guys about this game specifically, Chelsea. Am I right or wrong in saying ever since everything kind of started with Russia and Ukraine and Abramovich, they were dipping before that, but now they don't look themselves at all, which is fair. Like, how bad could it get for them between now and the rest of the season?
I don't think it's necessarily
correlated.
It's so hard to judge. I mean, they get smacked around by a team. It just happens to be very deep in the Premier or in Champions League by Real Madrid today, as an example.
Yep.
Like, the timing might draw the conclusion that they're distracted by the Russia gate of it all. But in reality, I mean, the Premier League, they've only just lost this one game against Brentford, and they only played badly for 10 minutes. They just got really punished for those 10 minutes.
Yeah, they just fell apart for a little bit. Yeah.
There's really enough to say that there's an obvious chink in the chain. Truthfully, what are they playing for at this point of the season? Like, what is the objective? Like, they're going to finish third fairly comfortably. For sure, top 4. Champions League, are they good enough to even have gotten past Real Madrid?
I don't know. There's only 5 points between kind of Arsenal, Spurs, and Chelsea. And, if they drop enough points, it's unlikely, and it is unlikely that they'll slip out of that. But I don't know. Like, I think there is a lot of. Would you not think there's a lot of problems here? Like, again, like, this is a team that we called them to win the Premier League, and Paul Forrest, who doesn't like to admit when he's wrong, I will say, never also said that I'm pretty sure you were saying that Lukaku was Golden Boot winner, and look how that has blown up in everyone's face. And I think he could be got again in the summer.
Well, so, I mean, what is the question though? Like, everything you're describing had nothing to do with the Russia gate of it all, and David's talking about whether or not.
You're right. These last two games
blow up in general.
Up until these last 2 games, you're right. Like, I'm very wrong. They have very good form, winning a lot of games. I think it's always been the same thing with Chelsea. I've never known who their best front 3 are. I did say, and I don't want to get into, I said this, who said that. Being a Manchester United fan, watching Lukaku in the Premier League, playing for a supposed elite team. I do think he's a bit of a flat track bully. He did it at Inter. He absolutely did it at Everton, where they built the team around him. Tuchel doesn't manage that way. It's a fluid, fast-moving team, especially with that midfield and the way they want to press the ball. I've said it for a while now. I don't see him suiting in any elite-level Premier League team. And I don't think that's necessarily Lukaku's fault, but I think when you look at that team fighting for top 1 and top 2, they don't have the attack. And I would say the same for Manchester United. I think that it's clear there's only 2 teams in the league that have that elite level attack. But
Yeah,
it's the goal scoring that I see the issues with. But surprised what happened today in Champions League. I mean, they'll probably finish third comfortably. I just don't know what happens next season. But I mean, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves anyway.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to unpack this and talk. It's like,
Yeah.
let's keep it to the game they just lost against Brentford. Let's not make it about
Okay,
Chelsea.
so quick game, but a quick point then about Brentford. We're talking about transfers, talking about interesting players in the summer. Brian and Bomu up front, absolutely playing out of his skin again, and he was titanic. He didn't score in this game, but he did everything else. Like, he literally ran the show for them up front. He looked great, and he's been playing very well this season. Is he a potential, summer signing for anyone, do you think? Or
I mean, they're in 14th right now, and I think if you're Brentford, you're staying up. You're going to try to keep your best players, right? They're going to have that Premier League money. I think what they're going to try to do is keep what they've got that's good and
Dave,
invest in
put
the
your
team.
mic by your mouth.
Oh, can you not hear me?
We keep doing
Am
this.
Am I getting away? I'm getting
When
away
you
from
wax
my
philosophical, you like,
mouth. Yeah, so I don't know. I see them trying to keep who they've got and rebuild, but I don't really see any standouts. Would you say he's the standout for them this season, Luke?
I think so. I think he's they've got a player at the left back or right back, Rico Henry. I wanted him at Villa last season. Before they came up, and we talked about it. And he's a very good player. I think he'd slot right in. He'd be similar to a Matty Cash in how he plays. He likes to get forward. But Brian Mbomu is the one who I've seen consistently being highlighted by pundits and stuff like that. And he is the one, when you watch him play, his hold up and link up play is very good. I think he's a far better than a Brentford right now.
Paul's like, this is too much time for Chelsea Brentford.
it's like, what are we talking about
Yeah,
now? Like,
where did we go here? Where did we
When did this
go?
turn into a transfer game?
Where did we go
It's a
from Chelsea and
podcast.
Brentford?
You wonder why our show goes over like length? Like,
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. We
It's
took that
called
for a walk.
democracy, Paul.
also, Christian Norgard
We had
is
a
the
good
guy that
time.
you would steal for Brentford. Christian Norgard.
Yeah, good show.
Dynamite all season. Anyways, moving on. With emphasis. Leeds 1, Southampton 1. James Ward-Prowse with a free kick goal. Who would have thought that this guy's capable of scoring a goal from a set piece? I certainly was surprised. This was a great game. It was high tempo. It was super entertaining. It probably deserved a winner. There was a lot of back and forth in this game, but James Ward-Prowse is there anybody in Europe better at dead ball specialists?
Probably not. Probably
even,
he's the best in the game right now. Good show.
He's making a little bit of a legend for himself. We will talk probably a little bit more naturally at length on this game because Wolves beat Aston Villa 2-1. Wolves win their third game in last 4 versus Villa despite absence of Jimenez and Neves, which is pretty impressive because those 2 guys walk into the starting 11 typically. They are now back in the frame for European competition next season. If they can get their act together, they might finish in the top 6. But now Villa, this is where it gets interesting. Villa have now taken just 4 points from a possible 39 versus teams that have been above them in the Premier League this season. After the game, Stevie G says Villa players are fighting for their futures. I don't know that I realized that Villa were struggling this much beating teams that were better than them, which is how you translate 4 points out of possible 39.
And 3 of them are at a game I was at. And you were there as well, Luke. Literally 3.
That's
terrible.
Yeah, no, it's this is the ultimate problem is it's Villa's inability to beat those guys above them who you need to beat to obviously level up. So it is seriously problematic right now. And there's an awful lot of conversations starting to happen now. I am still going to say I do believe we're in a better spot. The reason being, I think when it comes to the summer, I think Gerrard's name, I think even the likes of Coutinho coming in, I don't think Dean Smith would have managed to do that. I just don't. So I'm still confident. I think there's a lot of dead wood. I think Villa is you're going to see quite the turnover. But it is definitely worrying, and another poor performance. And Wolves weren't particularly great in this game. We just were poor ourselves. And Ollie Watkins, I don't know if you saw even any of the highlights, like the guy has to learn to finish, because if we're going to be consistently talking about how great he is or how important he is to Villa, he has to start showing it. And right now, that is again becoming
He's your top goal scorer since he arrived, though.
He is, but it doesn't mean that he's consistently a good goal scorer. He had 2, 3, 4 chances in this game that he should have taken. He took the penalty that he almost missed. Like he's not consistent enough. And this is, for me, this is what the problem with Tammy Abraham was. You know, Tammy Abraham's problem. A lot of Villa fans still loved him when we had him on loan, but I always used to notice like the guy needed 5, 6, 7 chances before he'd slot one away, and that just doesn't cut it in the Premier League, as we're seeing with the Brightons, with Neil Maupay and stuff like that. So
Tammy Abraham killing it in Serie A.
But it's Syria.
Yeah,
I know.
I
just like the reference. I like just to remind everybody like what apples to apples looks like. Tammy Abraham can't do it in the Premier League, but it goes to Italy and he's killing it.
So did Lukaku.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. So it's incredible, isn't it? It really is kind of selling like the different level out there. But I don't know, Paul, like Connie, do you think any different? Do you think
I'm excited to when we do get to it in the next couple of weeks to see the transfer game on who's going out and who you want to bring in? Because for
the viewer, just know that Dave and Luke have both been tasked with being directors of football for Man United and for Aston Villa, respectively. Luke is struggling with the 75 million war chest we've given him.
Really struggling.
I could see it. It's not easy, right? Because, and again, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's really kind of, you're trying to reshape and rebuild your team, and you got to be careful where that money goes, what's going out, what's going in. It's like running a business, because it is. So I'm very curious to see where you go there, because I do think there is a bit of a framework with the players they have now. Who do they keep? Who do they bring in? I'm excited.
I've agreed a big money Middle Eastern deal, so the money is gone out the window. Paul has agreed it.
His first move as director of football was to find some war crime state that was looking to get more popular in Western Hemisphere.
North Korea.
Smart, savvy, savvy.
That's a great business move for a lot of different reasons. I would question. Here's my thing. I actually look at this 4 points out of a possible 39 teams above you. And I don't understand how Stevie G has been completely, as far as I can tell, under the radar when it comes to any kind of criticism as a manager. I think he's fair game to question if he is the manager to take you being Aston Villa, to whatever comes next for Aston Villa, because I just haven't been all that impressed with what he's been doing. And I do the editing for the 5 Things Learned JP California videos, so I've been hearing him kind of like never once really putting Stevie G to the sword. So I get the sense that he's off limits, that we can question him as a manager. But for me,
he's not off limits. I think it's too soon. That's it. It's a good point. It's good, but apparently, so there is a rumor floating around as of today, apparently from the Villa faithful lot, that I've heard that Eric Konza. Oh, sorry, Eric. I keep doing that. Ensri Konza, or Esri. Esri is apparently being put up for sale, which I really, really hope is fake, because
he's your favorite player on Villa, isn't he? You love him.
Honestly, he's got everything you need to be a phenomenal defender. And remember last season when we were really crap, he was our best player. Like, he was one of the best defenders in Europe based on the statistics. And he has had a really bad season by his standards, but he's still only 24, 25. He can play a defensive midfielder role. He's got talent. So I'm really hoping that's not true, because I could see him going to the likes of Arsenal or something and just killing it, absolutely killing it. So, yeah, I think there's something strange going on with Gerrard, and I don't think he's off limits, Paul, but I think we're giving him a little bit of, maybe a bit of space, but give it a couple more weeks of this, and maybe not.
The sense I get about Stevie G is he's very demanding, and he expects a lot of his players, which I like. I like that demeanor. I like that expectation. There has been a lot of poor player performances at Villa, so it'll be interesting to see in the summer how much say he has with the board when it comes to ins and outs, and what his role. Well, how much power he'll have essentially at the end of the season. But I think Paul's right. It's one of those things where how come no one's pointing the finger at him? He's the manager. And we all know in the Premier League, in a football culture, it all ends with the manager, regardless of anything else, right? So we'll see.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Man United with a chance to maybe get some points and be in the top 4 race, and they decide, we're okay. Thank you. No, we respectfully decline. We're just going to draw Leicester at home. So they do. Coming from behind to draw Leicester, relying on Fred to be the goal scorer. Man United toothless for a few different reasons. The complete lack of striker to start the game is an example. I don't know. I don't know if this is if it's just me, but I get the general sense that the players like me are just done with the season and would like to go home now.
Yep. I watched this game after the fact, and the only way you could describe it is same old, same old. It's not good enough. It's a lower level quality. And again, I don't want to necessarily point fingers at any individual player, but it just seems like this is the level that they're at. Sure, you're missing, Ronaldo and Cavani, but you watch them play. And again, not to beat a dead horse. For me, it's the same thing. It's been at United for a long. The tempo. It's like I watch when they get the ball and they move it around and they try to move the ball upfield, and then I watch the game, and then I watch when Leicester get the ball. They're literally about 2 to 3 seconds quicker in transition from defense and midfield to attack. Whereas this laboring that United have, and you guys know it, is the Premier League's the fastest, quickest, strongest league in the world. If you don't move quick like a City or like a Liverpool do, or if you have the technical ability like City and no one else do, you can get away with it. United don't have that. They've got laboring players. Even though Fred scores a goal, we all know he takes a little bit longer on the ball. Same with Pogba. It's just, you look at the team, I look at a guy like Ralph Ragnick, and you could tell every single game. I'm looking in his eyes. He's like, these guys just, won't do what I want them to do, and probably can't do what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
So if they finish 6th or 7th, that's probably about right. You know what I mean? I think they've gone as far as they can go with this peak, and then with this summer coming up, you want to talk about a rebuild. Jesus Christ. It's just, I watched that game, I was like, yeah, that's about right, and they were probably lucky to get away with a point. I don't know if you felt differently, Paul.
I thought there was moments where they could have gotten a win, but I just, you gotta play with some intensity if you're in any kind of race for a top 4. Leicester are not that good. They're there to be taken, and the amount of it just seems like there's 4 guys that had a terrible day. You can carry 1 or 2, but you can't carry 4. And by terrible, I mean terrible. What are you?
Who are your 4? I'm curious to see who your 4 are.
I thought Elanga had a fucking terrible game.
He was poor.
I thought Bruno, by his standards, was really poor.
Has been for a while.
Sancho was not good. I thought there was no tempo or dictation in the midfield, and I thought Scott McTominay was largely responsible for that. He kept passing the ball backwards. And I thought Paul Pogba was played in a position where, what are you expecting him to do? I'd like to blame him, but it's what are you actually expecting Paul Pogba to do?
Also, David De Gea made an absolute world. I actually, at the end of the game, I do think, and United got a VAR call go their way where Leicester did go up 2-1. De Gea makes, and I'm talking about a worldy save. So at the end of the day, and this is a Leicester team that's not great. They're not bad. They were clearly up for the game. But I looked at the starting 11. I thought maybe outside of Varane, because I do like Varane as a player. I thought he was steady. There wasn't anybody who put in a shift. And the bare minimum you want is someone to put in a shift. So my only question to you, Paul, before we move on, is this a case of guys on the field being like, we know this guy's not our manager next year. We probably given up on top 4. Why do we care? Or is this just the level we play at? Which one is it? Or is it both?
I think it's just a lot of guys who are being tasked to do more than they're capable of doing. I actually think you can get that midfield and put 2 new players in there, and then all of a sudden the rising tide lifts all boats kind of things. Everybody plays a lot better with somebody who can just set the pace and the tempo and dictate play. We don't have that guy. So it's not a complete indictment of everybody across the pitch. Elanga has done enough to get a starting position. He had a stinker of a game, but he's a kid. He's going to have a stinker of a game. So yeah, I'm trying not to look too much into it. Cavani's not available. Cristiano Ronaldo's not available. All of a sudden, we don't have a striker to play, and it looked like we didn't have a striker to play. It looked like we were playing this bullshit false 9. So it was just it's not necessarily an indictment against everybody. I don't think it was a question of everybody was just not trying. Scott McTominay always tries. He just cannot be the guy who plays the ball through the lines to get the ball forward quickly. And he was being asked to be that guy. And he just can't.
So,
that's
quick question for both of you, because I'm interested. Like, before we move, a lot of comments, a lot of takes coming out saying, from what they've seen of him so far this season, Jadon Sancho isn't fast or quick enough to be an elite level winger in the Premier League. I'm starting to get sold on this kind of theory. What do the two of you think? He can't beat players with speed one-on-one. Great footwork. But to be an effective winger, you need to have that pace. And he just doesn't. It doesn't look like he's got it. Is there anything to that for you either, Luke?
Does he?
What do you think?
I don't think so, man. Like, he's not Juan Mata. He's not slow. He just doesn't have the lightning. But like, he's got wicked close control. He's very footsy. When's the last time you saw a player overlap with him or work a combination with him that is a supporting left back or right back?
No, we don't have it right now.
So if he's not getting that support, then he looks slow and he can't beat a man with his pace. But like, that's not his fault. That's like
Luke Shaw taking off at halftime.
Is players going 1-on-1 against him or 2-on-1 against him? Like, that's like Traore.
I think it's a shame
without somebody overlapping him can't beat a guy like that. Like,
I think it's a shame.
I've been seeing that shit, and I'm just like, of all the players to pick on, he's the only guy that's actually starting to play well over the past couple of months. But this is the narrative.
I wouldn't worry about Sancho, because if it was all about pace, Adama Traore would have been the best,
fair
in the league, and he had no end product. I think the worrying thing is if they have no end product, and Sancho does, but I just think we keep doing this, and United especially, you keep signing these big money players, and you expect them, like everyone's laying into Maguire, and it's always because he's an 80 million, but he's not though. He's just he's a good English defender, and he's having a rough time, but he's still a good defender. Jadon Sancho is still a very young, very quality English winger. He will come good under the right, tutelage. The whole of United right now is there's something broke, and I think psychologically there's something kind of rotten there, and I think it literally needs whoever to come in, whether it's Haag or whoever. He has to come in and he has to say, right, I'll come in, but I need control here. I need to be able to fucking sack 10 of these guys and bring in 12. Like, I need to be able to make the changes. And it's probably not that extreme, but I think there's an awful lot of kind of, things that people, I think Pogba has to leave. I think you have to get rid of Pogba and whatever.
He's
like,
leaving.
I just don't think he's got to.
We'll get to it when I do my transfer game, and I'm adding to it, Paul.
I really am.
Yeah, it's a huge shift this summer, and it has to be anyway. But another tough game to watch if you're a United fan anyway, for me anyway.
Moving on. It depresses me, so I'm going to move on for my own sake. Jared Bowen scores his 9th Premier League goal of the season against 10-man Everton, giving West Ham a 2-1 lead. Everton have now had 3 games in a row where someone was shown a red. How bad are Everton?
Keane's not good enough. Keane, I don't know if he should even be playing on a bottom-level Premier, but he's been horrible for Everton this season. And I know we're going to talk about Everton a little bit more, but every time I watch him, he's a calamity. Like, I don't even know why he's starting anymore. Like, Lampard must love him, but every game I've watched him recently, I'm like, you are terrible and shouldn't be on the field. And I know it's just a little nugget of the game, but Jesus Christ, how is he still getting into the starting lineup?
I don't know. Well,
seriously.
I mean, maybe it's less of an issue with the red, but not suspended. I don't know why, but he was available to play today.
Interesting.
Which is weird. So at this point, though, after this game, Everton are just 3 points above Watford in a relegation race. Since October, Everton had the fewest points in the Premier League and are the only team to not win an away game. That sad stat will get replaced momentarily as we get through today's game. So a lot of our friends, colleagues, and acquaintances are Spurs fans, so they're going to be over the moon when Spurs just dismantle Newcastle 5-1. 5 different goal scorers give Spurs the valuable top 4 3 points. And Spurs are now currently sitting in 4th and are winners of 3 straight. And people who once upon a time said it's over, it's disaster, we have no chance of being in the top 4. It's all Spursy, Dr. Tottenham, or whatever the hell that means. I still have no idea what that means. It drives me crazy. Are all publicly going, oh, we're in. We're going to get top 4. You watch. Enthusiasm.
I hope they capitulate so bad.
Beating a team that isn't that good. I mean, Newcastle had been really good for a while. They put together a really good run of results, but it is just Newcastle.
How good would it be if West Ham and Arsenal just chugged along and beat them out to places 3 and 4, and they're stuck?
Are we
going to
talk about this? Okay, so like, what's our preference? Do we want Spurs to be top 4 and deal with the eventual bullshit that is, let's call it Brian Ireland being in the top 4 and being in Champions League next year, or do we want West Ham, or do we want Arsenal? Like, what's the evil that we can all accept?
I want United and West Ham.
Well, you can't have
United. I can't have. Okay, so if I could choose, I'd want Arsenal and West Ham, just for the banter.
Hang on. We're talking about 4th.
Okay, hold on. We're talking about.
Why are you picking two teams?
No, you're right. I have 2 teams. You know what? I think West Ham. I had it both.
People. I promise you, we know what we're talking about when we talk about the football.
Sorry, I don't know. I forgot about Chelsea being locked in a 3rd. But imagine West Ham going ahead of both Spurs and Arsenal would be. It'd be a great pod, great talking point.
So you're rooting for the Hammers.
If it's not United, yes.
No, I'm gonna root. I'm gonna get. Oh, Paul.
Gunners.
You're going for Arsenal.
I am as well. And do you know what?
Why?
Because simple. I like, regardless of who they are, and I'm not even talking rivalry or any of that. I just think what Arteta has done this season. Think of how people ripped into him. You, me, Paul, the main pundits on the main channels, every player, every manager. Look at the disaster. 50 million Ben White. What a disaster! And look at when they win a game. Look at the. Like that is all we dream of as fans, is to see a team with that unified passion. And I love watching Arsenal play. I think they play fantastic football. I think the average team age is like 24 or 25. It's something insanely young.
Yeah.
And Arteta is doing it. And he also had the balls to drop their highest paid player and ship him off to Barcelona. And he just said he dropped him. He said he's not performing, and I'm sorry. That's confidence. And I think they deserve it. I hope they don't start to slip up now. And especially if they lost out to their rivals in Tottenham. But I like this Arsenal team, and I especially with Ben White, especially with those boys.
Okay. There's a little bit of a revisionist thing happening here. I just want to be very clear about this. I never was against Arteta. I was always the one saying that they're super injured and their run of fixtures was insanely difficult. I was on the record of saying, if you want to know if he's a good manager, it starts now, when they got out of that run of fixture list that was insane and they had all those injuries. And I said publicly, if he's a good manager, we will know by how they recover from this. And then they went on to recover.
I'm not saying you didn't, but I am going to start doing this. If we are going to continue to make these claims on this pod, you're going to need timestamps and you're going to need to replay them, because we've all done it now. I'm getting sick of it. We're just saying everything, and because nobody is factoring, we need to pay someone. We need to have someone who goes through the archives.
I know exactly what I said. I can only speak for myself. You spoke for me, and I'm correcting you.
We do need an archivist, because there is a lot of contradicting statements. Like I cannot remember Paul actually saying. I do remember him saying, they've got a lot. I remember they started the season so bad.
Dave, you probably weren't there. Your participation in this pod is very loose.
I was there. I was there at the beginning of the season.
Arsenal 0. As we talk about Arsenal, I want to stick with this segue.
He moves on very quickly, doesn't he?
He does. Convenient, isn't it?
Yeah. Crystal Palace dent Arsenal's hopes in top 4 as we talk about upping Arsenal, thanks in large part to an energy and pressing of Crystal Palace's Mateta. He was just dynamite. Just chasing down everything that was being built from the back from Arsenal. He would look really good as a pressing force, and I thought he inspired a lot of the play from Crystal Palace, which I thought was interesting because I think he's a bit of a below-the-radar player. Interestingly, I thought in this game, Crystal Palace had a lot of success targeting the left back and right back for Arsenal. I think that's going to be a point for the rest of the season, because Tierney is likely out for the season.
Yeah.
And the backup situation for those positions is not great. So if there is a chance for Arsenal to fall off, I think this is maybe that door starting to creak open, because it's not that Tierney's all that great a player, but the players that have been tasked with filling in for him across left and right they're very easy to target. They're not very good if you attack them. Zaha was having a field day this game. He's a fantastic dribbler, so take that for a grain of salt maybe. But it is maybe a telling result for what the rest of the top 4 race involves.
They need a striker. Like Lacazette is just he's not going to be playing there next season, I don't think. But the Tierney injury is not going to help them. I also just looked at their schedule. Like they've got to play.
Can we just not get to every single question is like a transfer window answer?
What do you mean?
They need a striker. Are they going to get one in the next 10 games? Before
What do
the
you
end
mean?
of the season?
They played Crystal Palace and they lost 3-0 because they couldn't score. Also, Crystal Palace played well.
Yeah, right, but they need a striker as a summer transfer point, not like what's going to happen over the next.
No,
10
but they
games
need to
in the top
score
4 race.
goals too, though, right? Like if Lacazette's not playing, who is their other number 9? They don't have one, right? So the one thing they've been doing very well is they've been scoring as a unit, which I like that. They've been getting goals from all over the place, but I think that might hurt them going down the stretch, not having that out-and-out number 9. Hasn't seemed to be an
100%.
issue. But Tierney, to Paul's point, Tierney will be a big miss. He's been really good for them this season. Again, if you look at their fixture list, they've got some tough games in there. They got United, Spurs, Chelsea.
I mean, this may not be noticed by you guys, but the guy who played right back was pulled at halftime, and they had Xhaka fill in for that position. That's how short they are
Tavares,
for cover of the left back and right back.
Yeah, but that's been an issue for them for a while. Like Tierney's been good. Like who's been their starting right back this season and been good for them? I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head.
No, Cedric. Cedric has been.
Has he been there?
It's between Cedric and Tomiyasu, and Tomiyasu's been injured.
Mm-hmm. Their midfield has been brilliant, though. That's what the midfield and the young attackers have been keeping them going. I don't know. Will this hurt them in the back? It did look like it wasn't. It looked like it was a bit of a problem against Crystal Palace.
It's basically what it's come down to is that Nuno Tavares is the guy that in question. He's not good enough, seemingly. And that's where they're in a situation where there is no replacement and they were forced to put Xhaka on for him. And that's major. Like that's the way they play. They are like most modern Premier League teams. They need wing backs, quote unquote wing backs, left backs and right backs who can go forward and come back. And he's got no defensive ability whatsoever. And it's just a really obvious place for anybody facing Arsenal for the rest of the season to start.
Could it lead to a change shape? Like, could they go 5 at the back to kind of get cover? Like, could that be the case?
But even that, it's messing with the formula. Like it's one of those ones where like this is a major deal. Tierney being out and how they course correct because of that. I think this game maybe shows a lot of clubs that they're vulnerable if you target those players, because that's certainly what Crystal Palace did. Anyways, today's game though. Let's get to the next one. Burnley 3, Everton 2, 5-goal thriller. The lead is exchanged 3 times before Cornet gives Burnley the super important 3 points. It's almost like 6 points because they're now in a race with Everton for that final relegation spot. They're separated by 1 point. Everton have an incredibly difficult run of fixtures for the remainder of the season. Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester, Chelsea. It's not looking good for Everton. Frank Lampard has won 4. No, sorry, not 1. He's lost 8 games out of his 12 in charge at Everton. I think he's only won 2.
I'm waiting for Luke to say it.
Doing what Burnley do, and we've been talking about this for a while since Christmas. Like Burnley will find a way to turn it around slowly but surely. But Everton just collapsing is the real story.
Listen to this: United, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Leicester again, because I guess it's a makeup game. Those are their next 5 games.
I just read that.
But then they've got Watford and Brentford. Crystal Palace, then Arsenal. Oh my God, this is gonna be. I will put my hand up here. I said a couple weeks ago, last time I think I was on here, I was like, they've got enough to get through this. I think I was wrong.
Yeah,
I think you were wrong too.
Yeah. This is Everton, guys, getting relegated if this happens.
Today's game was a dagger. Like even the way they lost 3-2 late thanks to a Jordan Pickford mistake. Dagger.
Oh, I can't stand Jordan Pickford.
I can't stand him either. And
so hold on a second. Paul, are Everton going down?
I think so, yeah. I think Burnley have done enough for a while now that if it becomes a race between Burnley and Everton for the rest of the season, this game is huge for confidence, but Burnley have the schedule and Everton don't. I just think this is going to be like you can kind of even see it today. The players' heads were down. It's a heartbreaker of a way to lose a critical game for the rest of your season, knowing that you have to go play. Like Liverpool are gonna beat the shit out of it. Can you imagine Liverpool right now? The team that they are most associated with hating might go down, and they have a chance to play them. Like that's
Villa twice for Burnley, and the way Villa are going, I know. At least eking out a couple of draws, which we all know Burnley are very good at. Holy shit! I think I have to agree. I think it's starting to look really bad for Everton. They had 3 games in hand 2 weeks ago, and they've done nothing with them. Oh my god!
You know what else is really looking not great though, Dave? I meant to talk to you about this. Your girlfriend and I had a conversation, and it segues into Manscaped. Just so you know, you, like all of our watchers, get a 20% discount with free shipping if you type in that code on top there, right over there, right there.
And I'll tell you what,
Manscaped,
I could tell you right now, I've started to get in the Manscaped game. Cannot recommend it more. For all you guys out there who are keeping it messy down there, get on board. Get with Manscaped.
It's not
Use
the
the code.
Anymore.
Exactly.
It's
Clean
great.
it up down there
Be thoughtful.
and get back out in the game. Keep your girlfriend happy or any of these new ladies you might be meeting. Free shipping with the promo code.
Just keep it
20%
interesting.
off. Exactly. Luke, how's that?
Interesting.
You're down there in the
You know
south.
who loves Manscaped? Our friend JP California, who says, "Hey guys,"
JP, there he
and
is.
then the rest of
He
his
does.
comments
He
really
does
gross.
love it. Yeah, he
gross.
really does it. It's just graphic pictures. But yeah, I can't agree more. The performance
It is.
package 4.0 is and has and continues to change my life, Paul's life, and definitely Connie's life. So
100%.
you know, like it's
But especially
it's just a
Connie.
win-win.
Number
And that
one with
nose
the
trim,
bullet.
it's fantastic. Also, hang on. Do I not get a little comment on the previous on the Everton thing? This is a horrible thing here. Paul's rushing me. I'm being forgotten. This is outrageous.
I think you
So
blew a lot of
I'm
your
go-
time talking about how great Brentford were for like 20 minutes.
What do you
No,
want to
I
say
didn't.
about
I didn't.
what do you
wanna
want to say
talk
about
about
Everton?
pod.
Go
This is
ahead.
what happens
You know,
on a
we are
pod,
talking about
and you
Everton
talk.
as we preview games as well.
This
right?
isn't Paul's dictation. This is how it talks. It's been a
The
conversation.
subject
been
of
a
Everton
lighthearted
will
banter.
come up again as we talk about the games that are
Stop
coming up.
Taking the lighthearted
carry on.
banter away from my
You have
life.
something to say specifically about the the Burnley Everton game.
I know about the situation. Connie brought up about are they going to get down, to get relegated? I'm gonna say no. I still think
Interesting.
Burnley are gonna shit the bed this year. Part of that is hope. Part of that is I just don't want them in the Premier League anymore. I would love Everton to go down because I'd love to pick on them, but there is only 1 point difference in their last 8 games between them. So Burnley have picked up 7 points, Everton have picked up 6 points. 2 wins, Burnley have picked up 2 wins and a draw. So they're not doing a whole lot different, although you seem to think
Did you
that
just miss the
they're
part where we
finding a way.
described who they're playing, though? Like, not what they've
No,
done,
no.
who they have coming up.
Absolutely, but they also have 2 or 3 easier games. They have Crystal Palace to play. They have a Watford to play, you know, and they still, and that point is still a point. So, you know, it's not as if, you know, I think Burnley have got a couple of tough games going up as well. So it's not impossible, and it's not looking great for them. But I'm gonna be the different. I'm gonna say they're gonna stay up.
Interesting.
Okay, well, interesting. I mean, we'll circle back to this when we preview the Burnley Norwich game.
Yeah.
We want to talk about an easy win. Newcastle are hosting
To
Wolves on
Norwich.
Friday.
Absolutely.
It's a Friday kickoff, everybody. Wolves are the 2-1 winners last time out. Si-Chan, the Korean striker, had a brace against Newcastle. Things have changed since then. That was pre-crazy money. It was pre that period where Newcastle were the best team in Europe, which was like 6 weeks or 7 weeks worth of results. But Newcastle have lost 2 games in a row, and Wolves are likely to be without Jimenez again and are likely to be without Neves. So this is going to be a weird game. I don't know what to expect of this. I am of the mind that when Ruben Neves is not there for Wolves, I don't like their chances. And I think Newcastle, coming off a pretty bad loss to Spurs, will probably give Wolves a bit of a handful. If I'm a betting man, I like Newcastle's chances for this game myself. I don't like Everton's chances as they host Man United. Even if Man United have not been playing well, this is really more of a question mark about Everton's playing so badly. The last 2 times these teams played, it has been a draw. They've shared points. It's been a 1-1 and a 3-3 before that. So history suggests there isn't one side particularly better than the other. There are question marks about Man United's striker situation. Cavani is probably not going to be available. Cristiano Ronaldo may not be available. Do they go with a false 9, which doesn't work? We now know that. And with Everton coming off a heartbreaker today, James Van de Beek will not be available for selection because of his parent club is Man United. I still kind of feel like this should be a win.
Donny Van de Beek, James Van de Beek, like from Dawson's Creek. Like James Van der Beek. But isn't this what United do though? Like they go up against the team that's like lost 4 games in a row, and they're like, oh, easy 3 points, and they like
and then
draw or lose. Yeah, like it's just
this would be classic, wouldn't it? Everton to pick up 3 points.
Yeah, like they.
Yeah, but the second that you say they're like gonna lose because it's an easy game, you've spoiled the magic, and they're gonna win. Like,
I hope that's the case, because God,
just go with logic and say they should win this game, and then don't act surprised when they do not win this game.
I'd really enjoy doing the pod next week if Everton beat, and you have to come back.
No,
and say that.
no. Oh,
I think it would be a testament to the trouble that United.
Did you just like listen to what I said though? I'm just saying you just say that we should win it, and then don't act surprised when we lose. I'm not saying anything confident at all. So if you're trying to rub something in my face if Man United lose to Everton, don't bother. I completely know that they might lose.
What do you think is going to happen in this game, Luke? What do you think is going to happen? He's using reverse psychology to make himself feel better. I get it.
Luke's tiny little mind.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A man, you sit on the fence more than a fucking politician. Just pick a side.
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't have to pick a side because guess what? Draws are a thing.
Do you think we're going to draw?
I don't fucking know. I am beyond guessing what Man United games are going to do. When a team is so inconsistent, why bother speculating what the result should be or could be? Like,
not sure. I think he still might be injured.
Is he injured? It'd be interesting. I think it depends on kind of who's available. But it's confusing. But I think Everton are on such a bad run of form. Mentally, how are they going to scrape out of this? Whereas United aren't on as bad of a form. So, yeah, I think it's going to work out.
Who knows?
Wonderful.
Early game
we have
anyway.
Luke's suggestion that it's going to work out. Arsenal versus Brighton.
There you go.
Arsenal got to get back in the winning column, I think. Brighton have not played well. The last time they played each other, they did share points.
So
it was a draw.
We've got the wrong screen up.
Brighton did badly outplay Arsenal, even though it was a draw. This is 2 teams that are dramatically different form. Brighton have not won a game in 7, and Arsenal have lost 1 game in the last 8, and that was maybe a bit of a fluky night against Crystal Palace, or maybe it's the signs that there is that vulnerability on the left wing and the right wing, which we discussed. If I was a Brighton fan, I would be hoping to see quite a bit of Lamptey just tearing up and really focusing on whoever Tierney's replacement is. Because if Wilfred Zaha had a day, there's an opportunity for him to have a day as well. He is definitely good enough to run around whoever's replacing Tierney. But I think on form alone, Arsenal should be winning this game. The test will be, how do they recover with the injuries that they're now facing? And if Xhaka is starting out there on the left or the right, that's going to be a problem.
Red card central. Sure. Yes. For our next game, could we get the preview games back up? But I like Arsenal as well. I think this is a comfortable one for them to get back on track.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I think so.
Good. Southampton are going to face off Chelsea at hosting. Chelsea took this game 3-1 last time they played with 2 late goals in the 84th and 89th minute. Southampton have 1 point last 4 games. For me, this should be straightforward. The only real question mark is if there's a hangover after today's pretty bad day at the races against Real Madrid. Is that going to be something that acts as a distraction on top of what you could argue is maybe an ongoing set of distractions at Chelsea already anyways? If they can focus up, Chelsea should win this game. If they are thinking about the next leg of Champions League and maybe do some sort of rotation, and start like a Lukaku, which weirdly enough would be a rotation move. Who knows? I mean, Southampton, I think you need to be at your best to beat Southampton. So this is not going to be a straightforward day, I don't think, but certainly Chelsea should be the favorites.
Yeah, and they still need to keep winning games to feel super comfortable. Like, I don't think they're like nailed down for. I mean, they're almost nailed down for either the third or the fourth spot, but I still think they're a couple of games from being right there. But yeah, Southampton are going to give them a go. It's going to be interesting to see what the lineup looks like. Will Lukaku start? But I mean, even if he doesn't, on paper they should have enough to beat Southampton, which I think they will.
Watford versus Leeds is not something we can really talk too much about. All I can really say is if Watford are going to have any chance of pulling any rabbit out of any kind of hat, it's got to start with beating Leeds, and then it has to be followed by winning a shitload of games in a row. But also, this is going to be a wide open, entertaining game. Like, that's the one thing I do feel pretty comfortable about saying is I don't know if it's going to be high scoring because neither team is that clinical, but they do match up to be very open. And
I like
that can
Leeds
be
in this
awesome
game.
well.
I like Leeds
if you
in
like
this
watching
game.
Watford, enjoy it while you can because they won't be here for long.
No,
I
think what's funny is if talking on the demise of Everton, if Everton do lose to United and Watford score enough and Everton get humped a couple of goals, they could fall into the relegation zone. Like that would be enough to on goal difference. They would be they would jump above Everton, but I think it's unlikely. I think Leeds are going to probably peak this as well. But do you know the worst part about this is that Watford have done the goddamn double over Villa this year. It's like,
yes,
we lost both games to them, and I think we lost 3-0 each time. It was 3-1 and 3. Like it was, I just can't.
Luck.
I have a Watford friend, and yeah, it was just
which is going to bring us nicely to what I'm going to call the North End Derby. Little Aston Villa hosting
rivals.
Spurs. Let's talk about what we can do to help your team win this game because I think we can all agree we definitely want Aston Villa to beat Spurs.
Oh yeah, all three of us.
Glad.
Is it like
okay, fantastic.
Killing a chicken? Is it like good vibes out into the world? What do we need to do?
Hope that Harry Kane and Youngmin's son get ill and don't play because they're a two-man team.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I like that. I think that's a good thing. I think we can do more than that. I don't think Son should have gotten out of his right for military service. I think that needs to be brought back this week, and
That's a good idea.
We need to get him shipped. Yeah, it's just logical, you know.
Some
and
Kane,
why should one man be above?
Kane to City rumors maybe a couple days before, heat them up. Maybe Pep makes some comments, throws them right off, like the beginning of the season. I like all of this. Like it all.
This is a very worrying time to be playing because they are looking really good, and that some good signings. That Kowalski that they've signed, Dejan, like
Kulusevski. Yeah,
is it Kulusevski? Yeah, he's a hell of a player. Like I really like how he slotted in. Hoiberg obviously has been good. Matt Doherty, which I'm really happy to see actually because he obviously made a big move, then got dropped and was in and now. Like this game, 5-1, Harry Kane didn't score. Matt Doherty got a goal and an assist, which is kind of crazy. You know, it's like they are playing really good football. So I'm very worried based on how Villa are coming into this.
Of course, the guy.
He is the guy. He looks phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, he's the guy.
Yeah.
He's been the linchpin since he came there. He has taken over that midfield.
Yeah.
And I mean, like you got to say it, Antonio Conte is Antonio Conte for a reason. Like they look good. I'd be worried, Luke. Like they're a team I don't want to play right now. Like they just look fluid.
Aston Villa did lose to Spurs thanks to a own goal by Matty Target earlier in the season, but it was a pretty cagey, tight affair. But it was pre-Conte, so it's really hard to like take a learning out of that game and apply it to this game. That was pre-Harry Kane remembering that he's a good player and can score goals.
Yeah,
that was when he was still pining after the baby blue of Pep Guardiola and dreaming of what could have been.
Yeah, I think for me the biggest issue here is the fact that it's not that Ollie Watkins isn't scoring, that doesn't help, but it's right now. Defensively, for a while we were okay, and all of a sudden it's gone to crap again. Konza can't find his feet. Mings, I just like to say his name so JP will get riled. And then the left back, Digne has been in and out of like fitness and availability. Matty Target looks really good, but like we're not. Their back four isn't working well together. John McGinn's not been great. Douglas Luiz has been loved up and hasn't been great now for a while, and that is the problem because Tottenham are going to have a lot of possession in that place, and if we can't break them down, we're going to struggle. And I think if you break Tottenham down, Tottenham on the back foot aren't as good. You know, they have had that problem all season, and I know they're improved now. But even watching them, when did I last watch them? Was it 2 weeks ago or about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, whoever they were playing? But although they against West Ham, and although they were good in that game, West Ham were the moment they had them on the back foot, Tottenham looked very shaky, and I think Tottenham still have that in them. So it just depends.
Well, West Ham
on
lined up for a counter attack, which is I guess the question is like, can Aston Villa like line up to counter? Because I don't really think of your team as being a counter-attacking team. Although I do know that there's some players like Bailey,
Right.
Who's fast as shit, who doesn't seem to make it into the squad at all.
Yeah, he's inconsistent, man.
He's been disappointing signing, hasn't he? Like
Yeah.
who would it be?
very-
Ramsey, El Ghazi, Coutinho? Like who would be the ones to get some
Well,
speed on
Ghazi's
the
on-
wings?
Well, Ghazi's not there. Remember, I totally forgot. He's
Oh,
not
yeah.
playing that much. Remember, he's at Everton, and that's killing us as well because any potential sell-on value, he's sat on the bench. You know, he's that's another disastrous one. But you'll have Ramsey, you'll have Watkins. Pace is always dangerous, and
Danny
if you're
Ings up
gonna
front,
play to
maybe.
you might have to go two and just go for it. I think you have to go for this game. I think if you sit back, you're going to be in big trouble because Son will score like a 20-yard bolt or something. Like it'll be.
So if anybody's interested in discussing this game more, our little sister channel, Tottenham on Tour, are going to probably focus on this in their high squeaky.
I'm going to be
little
there.
sister voice.
We're going to be chatting to them tomorrow.
Are you getting in on
Is
it?
tomorrow or Friday?
Keep it.
Yeah, we're going to have a little
keep an
preview.
eye
chat.
out for that.
Nice.
Promote us
Our
over
tiny
there,
little
but,
baby sister channel, Tottenham on
It's a
Tour.
that nobody cares about. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game, and I am not really feeling great about it. That's my honest opinion on that one.
Well, that's going to be music to the ears of the Tottenham on Tour crowd, I think. maybe soften it a little bit. Don't put money on it for whatever you do. Brentford are going to host West Ham. This is going to be a Jared Bowen just continuing fine form game for me. This should be as much as Brentford looked impressive against Chelsea. I think West Ham are playing for something again. They have a chance for European competition. Jared Bowen is back. There's no mystery that they were not playing particularly well when he was unavailable and injured. As soon as he comes back, he is that attacking threat that seems to work for them. They're very built on the counter. I think Rice breaks it down. Jared Bowen goes and does his individual brilliance, and all of a sudden they have a decent record. So I'd like him to continue his form for the rest of the season. That might be a bit of a fantasy tip for anybody looking for a relatively inexpensive midfield player to end the season. Leicester are going to host Crystal Palace. These guys played last time out to a 2-2 thriller. It was really exciting. I actually expect this game to be pretty exciting as well. Jamie Vardy should be back from an injury that's kept him on the shelf for a few weeks. I think he's likely to come back and start this game, whereas Crystal Palace have got to be riding pretty high with their pretty respectable win over Arsenal and have not actually lost a game in the last four. Crystal Palace finding some pretty impressive form late in the season.
But they will lose this, and in the words of the great Stan, it's because we're fucking shit, boys. We're fucking shit. I told you, we're fucking shit.
100%.
It's useless.
100%.
Useless. Yeah. I'll tell you, lads, fucking awful.
I can't wait for it.
I love it. It's I live for it. I live for Stan's random. Like they could win 3 in a row, and he's like, "I'll tell you, lads, we're shit." And it's like,
we're getting relegated. We're getting relegated.
Yeah. It's crap, lads. It's bloody crap. Watching it week in, week out. It's crap.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Like Leicester are going to beat them, and he's going to do exactly that. It's going to be classic.
Your ability to change your voice to sound like somebody else has scared JP California. So just so you know, you freaked him out.
You know that picture of JP California? They've just Channing Tatum's got a new film out called Dog. That looks like if we had to remake it with a limited budget, it's JP forcefully holding the animal.
Yes, Dag.
Yeah, Dag.
We didn't have the rights to tell the story Dog, so we made our movie Dag.
Dags, how are you, lads?
Norwich hosting Burnley in what has to be a huge game for Burnley if they have any chance to do what we all think. Some of us think they have a chance to do. Some of us don't think they have a chance to do. I think they do. It has to start with beating Norwich. You got to beat the teams below you if you're going to get out of relegation. You got to take the points off those guys. It's going to have to be a 3-point game. It's really going to get pretty exciting because, again, Everton are 1 point away from Burnley. If Everton lose or even maybe draw to Man United and Burnley beat Norwich, Burnley are out of relegation. They're out of that zone. And that's a huge weight off. That's got to feel very liberating, even if it's just for 1 week, that kind of momentum can get you there. Because imagine if you're in Everton and you've lost it to Man United or even drew, and then you find yourself in the relegation zone, and then the schedule comes up, and you've got Arsenal, Liverpool,
Spurs,
Man United, Spurs, Chelsea. Like, that's got to be just a soul crusher. And I love it because Frank Lampard's not going to get those players out of there. He's not going to coach them out of there. He's not going to make them feel better about anything. No. I don't think Frank Lampard is a very good manager, by the way.
Not look at that.
I said this for a long time.
You have. I will give Luke credit. He makes the same comment. He took Derby from 6 to 6. Is that the one you always say? Yeah.
That's the one. He took Derby from 6 to 6. And a very quick point we missed, and it doesn't relate to the Premier League, but it's interesting. One of Villa's, we can't score right now, and we've sent a player out on loan in Cameron Archer, and he is the top performing youngster in England right now. Like, based on goals and everything, he is absolutely flying.
And the championship?
So, yeah, he's playing at Preston, I believe. And yeah, there was a great stat.
So are we talking about Norwich and Burnley? Are you pulling up Brian Ireland? You're just pulling Brian Ireland there?
I'm going to move us on because this is the showcase game. This is the big game. This is Sunday. This is Manchester City hosting Liverpool, separated by just 1 point. Okay. Number 1 and number 2 in the table. The last time these guys played, it was an amazing 2-2 draw, with City coming back twice to earn a single point, which does mean that Liverpool have got what it takes to kind of step up with the quote-unquote big boys that are Man City. Both teams should be pretty comfortable. Both played the same night on Tuesday in Champions League. Both won their Champions League games. The only real major injury to talk about is that Ruben Diaz is probably not going to be available, so John Stones probably starts for Manchester City. Debatable if that's major or not. John Stones is a pretty good understudy. Liverpool have won 10 in a row. They are the team on form. Manchester City have had a little bit of a slip. They've only won 3 of their last 5 games, but that's after a season-long run of wins that's record-setting.
Nauseating.
It's what we all have been talking about, though. This is the game that it would have been beautiful if it was on the last day, but this is still timed so nicely. And this could be the first time that these guys plays each other in a major way, because both are still in Champions League. So who knows what the rest of the season looks like, and FA Cup, I guess. What do we feel like here? Are we edging anybody? Or we think this is going to be a cagey game that ends up being a draw? Does anybody have a gut feeling one way or the other on this?
I'm edging. And I do think.
I bet you are.
You like that?
Don't make eye contact when you are, buddy.
Direct eye contact. I think City know what's at stake here, and I think they step up. I think it's going to be tight, but I could see a 2-1 City victory with them being the better team on the day. I thought they were the better team last time they played, but it was that explosive offense with Salah, which they are. Listen, Liverpool are capable of that. But if City put in a solid defensive performance, which I think they will and they're capable of, they have enough to wear you down with the amount that they move the ball around your box, and they will create chances against this Liverpool defense. And I see them scoring, and I see them just edging out like a 2-1 victory. That's kind of where my gut's taking me. I don't know what you boys
watch that.
Well, what do you think, Paul? What's your gut telling you, if anything at all?
It's interesting because Azaz does a 5 things learned about Liverpool series after each Liverpool game, and he kind of pointed something out that I'd kind of started to notice, which is Liverpool have been winning but not looking great. Salah's kind of hit a little bit of a wall since being kind kind of two things. Like, I think since losing AFCON, since recently not qualifying for the World Cup with Egypt, he's 20 goals on the season, so he's already like done what most people would consider a really good season. He's entitled to have a little bit of a dip. But overall, I just haven't felt like they've been playing all that great recently. Winning and doing enough to win, which is what matters. Whereas when I see Man City, I even with they've lost games, I'm like, they just still play so well. Like, they're revving. They're at this peak level right now.
They're the better team in my opinion. Like, when people are like, "Oh, it's neck and neck,"
scoring. So for me, I like City here at home. I think City win this. 2-1 is probably an entertaining game, but 2-0 maybe even wouldn't be a surprise to me. It's just how I was
gonna say 2-0, but like, knowing Liverpool, they'll probably get one and make it exciting. But I just think City are the better team between these two. They made a couple of defensive errors the last time they played. They were the better team then, but Liverpool have to win this game, don't they? They have to. Luke, do they have a shot? Can they do it?
I think Liverpool are going to win this game.
Holy shit.
Playing the better football right now. I think they are dialed in. Salah isn't, it is maybe not as good as he was pre-AFCON. However, Diaz has been a fantastic signing. Jota is a fantastic signing, and, let's not forget any team that has a centre-back player that is, as good as Liverpool have, and the depth, and then on the wings with Trent and Robertson, like, it's...
No, I mean, we know who they are. If you're just listing all the players they have on the team, like, we are familiar with Liverpool. We know the squad.
But you need to... I think sometimes just saying them and remembering just how dangerous they are, and I just think it really adds, validity to my point.
And don't you forget about Trent Alexander-Arnold.
No.
So I'll jump on that, though. So I'll jump on that. I do think if Liverpool can lull them into that whole City, and if they take their moments on the counter, that's their only way they win this game. And it's how they scored the last time they played, because they pulled them in, and they're the only team in the league that can attack in that way and get goals out of it against City. I don't believe there's any other team that can do it at that level. They did it last time they played each other, and I think they have to do it again. I think Klopp probably knows he can't play the possession game. No one can play the possession. No team in the world can play that possession game with City. No one can. Klopp knows that. I think if he hurries up and kind of builds the midfield and gets that freedom with Salah and Mane, if that's who start, and even Diaz, the winger, he's been sensational and he's got pace to burn. That's how they are going to win the game if they can. It's going to be on the counter.
I think it's stopping them in the middle as well, Connor. Like,
you can't stop them in the middle. You can't. They move more than everybody else.
You have to try and do something. You have to try and break them up, whether it's Kanate or whether it's, not Jorginho, Fabinho or what. Like, you've got to get into De Bruyne. You've got to stop him being so comfortable on the ball if you can. And Foden, like, he's 21. Is there a better midfielder in the world than Phil Foden? Like, I watch him and he's unbelievable. So, like, I don't know how.
And they've got Mahrez on the right if they start. Like, they've got Grealish if he wants.
Right. Did you say that Phil Foden is the best midfield player on the planet?
He said as a 21-year-old at that age level. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but the kid from Barcelona is
Pedro.
the guy. Yeah,
he's
like,
really good.
Those two are.
It's insane.
Talent.
But like, I know it's a bit crazy, but yeah, I was actually just looking up, seeing if there was a predicted lineup on one of the apps I use. Here's a fun one from you, Connie. What is Pep's real name?
Oh, I saw something on this a couple of weeks ago. Is George? Is it Jorge?
No, Paul.
Timothy.
It is ridiculous. It's Joseph.
Yeah, for Pep. That's right.
Joseph.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that name in my entire life. Joseph.
It's like
now I can't think of anything else.
I think it's just Joe in Spain, dude.
Simi from the Manchester City Supporters Club has got a kid named Josep.
Come on.
Has he really?
Yeah. It's Panama though. He doesn't really talk about it. Or like support it anyway.
I gotta look now. Joseph Origins.
I just think I don't think they can stop them. And again, it's not about the skill. It's just the amount that they've moved the ball. No one can step up to that midfield for me, Luke. And the only way they're going to do is contain them and beat them on the counter. That's, for me, their only chance. And I'm not saying they can't do it, but they'll have to be at their absolute best.
It is going to be the best, biggest, most important game of the season so far, outside of finals, which we haven't even got to yet. So it's like, mark your calendar for Sunday. It's going to be a wild ride. What we can say here at the North End is that we are committing to bring you a follow-up show after the game sometime next week, where we will do much of the same we're talking about now, but with us we will have one of the figureheads from the Toronto Liverpool Supporters Club and the main guy, Simi, from the Manchester City Toronto Supporters Club, and we're going to put them into a cage, and we are going to tie rubber bands around their waist and get chainsaws and hammers around the perimeter of the cage and have a blood sport Thunderdome style conversation.
Yes. I knew we talked about that. I wasn't sure if it was going ahead, so it's very exciting.
Yeah,
would you guys agree?
The permit
So you have to be 18 or over to watch our next
that's going to be on our separate channel. We're going to say that.
Yeah.
Would you boys both say that this game is probably going to be a close shave?
Hey,
I also
talking of close shaves.
I also think it would be good for the league, though. I think if Liverpool won, though, you know what I mean. I think it'd be very good.
And you know what would be good for you, Connie? To maintain your ball and body hair in the way that your woman deserves. And with Manscaped and the North End podcast, you can do that with 20% off, free shipping, and of course the incredible Performance Package 4.0. And let me tell you guys, it's a good product. It is a good product.
I might go do it right after this pod. I might just jump in there right now and get right at it. That might be the
full
move.
disclosure, Luke has not actually grown any pubic hair, so he can't really talk to the effectiveness of the product. But one day.
But I have been using it on random strangers in the streets, and it has been going down marvelously.
Rave reviews.
Alabama pube shaving.
It is part of the reason why he's been relegated to Alabama is that no other city will accept him because he walks around shaving people's pubes on the bus.
That's true, but Alabama isn't a city, so just maybe look at a book there, Paul.
Yeah.
What do I know? Geography, fancy pants, huh?
Boom,
roasted.
Mobile, Alabama.
You gotta have us down. You gotta have us down for an on-site pod. I'd be down for that.
100%. New Orleans is 2 hours away. Paul told you.
I'm in.
Yeah, it is.
Cheap flights into
New
also
Orleans.
Super close.
It's so hot there. It's so hot out there.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit warm. I'll come to you guys.
Connie, have you been to New Orleans yet?
Never. I've honestly, it's the one city I hear it's very polarizing. So 50% of the people talk to say it's the best. They love it. The other 50% of the people I talk to, they're like, don't go there. It's overrated, waste of time. So it is one of those places I want to go just to kind of determine that on my own. Like very conflicting reports, to be honest with you.
And I don't think I would trust anybody who would call it overrated or a waste of time as a city. I just don't understand how you.
Is there a certain time of year that you have to go, or any? Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be during Mardi Gras. It doesn't matter.
I would recommend not going to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is just a little bit too much.
I got you. Maybe an on-site pod. New Orleans.
I'm all for it. You know, I miss them. I think that's part of the division that we have at times is that we're not in person, and we miss the glory days, boys. We do. We just miss
Manscaped. Throw us some tour money, and we're gonna start doing some on-sites.
Let's do it. We get all the branding. We'll be fully Manscaped branded. We will have more branding on our bodies than we will have body hair. So it's a win-win, really.
This trip just got interesting.
Let's end it.
Shave me like a walrus.
Oh no! It keeps getting worse. Let's end it with the walrus line.
I am the walrus.
All right. Goodbye, boys.
Godspeed.
Bye.
Bye.
This is the North End. This is the North End.